Hello everyone, it's Tracy. Welcome back to my channel. Thanks very much for joining me. Today I'm doing the assembly tutorial for the Juke Box music box. This project has been designed by Nicole Silhouette here on YouTube, and I shall link her YouTube channel in the description box below. This project is available as a digital cutting file in Nicole's Etsy store, and also it is available as a cutting die set in Beki Cat store, and I shall link them both in the description box below. So let's get started. I've got all the pieces cut out here and I'm going to go through them with you. So first up we have this piece with the square in the middle cut out, and you can see I've gone ahead and folded along all the score lines and put double-sided tape on the glue tabs. Next up we have this piece, which is similar to the previous piece but there's no square in the middle. I've gone ahead and folded on the score lines and put double-sided tape on the glue tabs. Next up we have these two pieces here, which is the front and the back of the Juke Box, and it has a jagged edge all the way around, which you just fold along, and also a glue tab down the bottom. And we're going to put the double-sided tape on the inside edge of those glue tabs. Next up we have these two pieces here. There are score lines along there, but they're not for folding, it's just to assist with the curve shape, as I'm indicating here. So you just do that to that piece, and there's also double-sided tape on the inside edge of that glue tab. Next up we have this piece here, and that joins onto that previous piece. And I have put double-sided tape on the glue tab on the left on the top side, and for the glue tab on the right I've put it on the underneath side as I'm indicating. This piece here is a concertina folded piece. You just fold it backwards and forwards to get concertina style. And then we have this piece here, and you can see I've gone ahead and put glue along the glue tabs as I'm indicating. Next up we've got the pieces for the front of the Juke Box. We have this piece here, and I'm going to turn it over and put it face down so that we're working on the inside. This speaker part goes there, and the round wheel that turns the sentiment goes here, and you need to be careful when you're putting your speaker piece in place that it doesn't impede onto the sentiment wheel. But I'll talk a bit more about that a little bit later on in the tutorial. So moving on, we're going to talk about those arch shape pieces, and I've got them here. The bigger one, there's 4 of those, and they will be stacked and glued on top of each other to create a dimensional piece. The same with the next size down. There's 5 of these, and they will be stacked and glued on top of each other for dimension. And then the same will apply for the next size down. There's 5 of those, and they will be stacked and glued one on top of each other. And then there's this remaining piece here, and there are 10 of those, and they will be split into 2 lots of 5 that will be stacked and glued one on top of each other to create 2 pieces. So I've gone ahead and done that. So I've got this piece that's 4 layers thick, this is 5 layers thick, and so is this one. And then we have 2 of these that are 5 layers thick, like so. Now for these arches, we're going to glue each of those on top of each other like so. And I'll do that now. So just gluing the second sized one onto the first sized one. Just taking care to line it up so it has that staggered look. And then I'll glue that more narrower one on top of that again. And this makes a nice feature piece on the front of the Juke Box. So just putting that into place, taking care to line it up so that it's looking nice. And once that's glued, I'll put that aside. So just giving you a look there. Now it's time to put the Juke Box together, so we need the long rectangle and this shorter rectangle. I'm going to turn the long one around so that the hole is there on the left side, and I'm going to join that smaller rectangle to it. So I'm just removing the backings off the double-sided adhesive on the left-hand side of that smaller rectangle and join it to the long one, taking care to line it up precisely as I can. Once that's done, I'm going to turn it over, and you'll see that the other double-sided tape there is on the underneath side. So we're working on the underneath side of the piece now, and I'm going to run double-sided tape along both of the edges. You could use glue here if you wanted to. I'm just using double-sided tape for the ease of the tutorial. But I have used glue in many places on this tutorial, so it's up to you what you do. The glue I'm using is the art glitter glue. So once you've got your double-sided tape on both sides like I have here, you need these two arch shapes that have the jagged edges. Then we're going to take the backings off the adhesive along one side, take one of the arches with the jagged teeth and attach the teeth to the bottom edge of the long rectangle, like so, like I'm indicating here. Now this is probably the most fiddliest part of this tutorial, but just take your time, don't rush, and make sure that you've got the pieces lining up nicely along that jagged edge. It takes me a little bit of fiddling around here, and I do pull it apart a little bit and line the bottom edge up first on both sides. And you can see I'm taking it off here because I'm not happy with it, and trying again, just because I wasn't happy with the placement and I want it to be as precise as possible. So just take your time and persevere. It is only paper and it will do what you want it to do. And this top part here is the most fiddliest, trying to get those tabs tucked in and adhered. But just hang in there, you'll get there. It makes such a lovely curved look to this project that it's worth the perseverance. So you can see I'm just taking a bit of time here to make sure all those tabs are attached to the double-sided tape that's along that long rectangle piece. And you could use glue if you wanted to. And I'm just pressing that, taking my time, pressing it, making sure I'm happy that all those little tabs are stuck down on the inside. I'm using my left hand to push them down as well as my right hand. Just making sure that they're all stuck down. And I'm using my bone folder as well. So I've got one side done there, and it's time to get the backings off the tape on the other side and do the same thing with the other arch shape. Making sure your teeth are all folded for ease of fixing to that long rectangle. And this time for this side I did the two ends first, just to make it a little bit easier, and then taking my time, making sure that those tabs are lining up against the double-sided tape on the inside edge. Again, I'll say it again, it'll take a little bit of perseverance here, but you'll get there. Just take your time, don't rush, and your perseverance will pay off. So I'm just getting all those little tabs to tuck in nicely and press against the double-sided tape that's exposed on the inside. And you can see I've got my other hand inside, working from the inside as well. This is the fiddliest part of the tutorial. Once you get through this, the rest is easy. And I left it all in, showing you that sometimes I can find things a struggle as well, and I've been paper crafting for many, many years now. But it's just getting the shape right, and then that really does make the piece in the end. Your perseverance will pay off for sure. So just pressing that into place, making sure I'm happy with it. I am a little bit super fussy though, so I do take a little bit more time fiddling around, making sure that it looks good. So that's our two sides on. You can see our jukebox now taking shape. We've got the general shape. Now I'm just making sure those tabs are stuck down. Being super fussy here. Now it's time to take the backings off those tabs that are down the ends, and there are tabs on all four sides here, and they will fold in. Gives that bottom edge a little bit of strength. Just folding those tabs all in and adhering them to the inside of the jukebox. Like so. So that's probably the hardest part done. And it's time now to move on. So we're going to work with these two shapes now. And we're going to start with the straight edges here and remove the double-sided tape. Now I have made this shape many times before. A lot of Nicole's projects have this shape. So you're taking that adhesive edge and you're turning it around and adhering it to that back edge like so, because we're making a frame. Do the same thing on the other straight side. Take the backings off, put that glue adhesive edge against that back piece like so. You can see I wasn't quite happy with the placement there, so I folded it down and then folded it over and then pushed it back upon itself like so. Then we've got the two angled edges. I always leave those last. It just seems to fit better. Just take the backings off the adhesive. That adhesive edge gets turned around and adhered against that back piece. And those mitered corners slot in together. You need to make sure this is all straight, otherwise your base will be a little bit wonky. So just doing this last side, take the backings off the adhesive, if I can get it to come off. That's why I like my pokey tool. Adhesive edge down and around. And pressed against the back edge there. The back side, I guess you could call it. Now what you can also do here to get the corners to stay in place is put a little bit of glue underneath, which is what I'm going to do now. Just take my glue and just put a little dab of glue and hold it in place until it dries. I'm going to do it to all four corners. Just a little dab of glue underneath. And then just hold it all in position until it all dries. And this piece is actually the middle of the little platform that the jukebox lid goes onto. So I'll put that aside to dry. And we'll start on the next piece with the square out of the middle. And again, I'm working on the straighter edge sides first, taking the adhesive backings off the glue tab and adhering that glue tab to right against the inside edge of that opening. Swap over to the other side. The short sides are always better to get done first, and then do those longer angled sides last. Just take the backings off the glue tab, fold that glue tab down and around and against that inside edge of the opening. It's a little bit fiddly, but it's not too bad. And you can see this frame is taking shape. This is actually the bottom of our platform for our Juke Box. So I'm just tucking those mitered corners in, making sure they fit well. And again, you can put glue under those little corner pieces to hold it all in place nicely. Which I went ahead and did. So this is our bottom piece. The piece we put together before goes on top like so. And now we'll move on to make the very top piece, which is this piece here that we're going to put together to make a box. The first thing we'll do is take the backings off these little tiny tabs here. And this shape sort of goes together like a pizza box. Just going to join those two tabs to that inner spine there. Take the backings off the side pieces. And join the other side together like so. And I'm just going to take my time here and finish putting this piece together. This is the top piece of our platform. It's the piece that the Juke Box, that arched shape, goes over the top and fits on top of. Now we're going to take this concertina piece that we've pre-folded. We're just going to scrunch it up a little bit, like so. Keep those concertina folds as neat as you can. And we're going to put that piece inside this box that we just made. And I'm going to show you what it looks like. It looks like this. And then I'm going to close up that box. Just take the adhesive backings off the remaining glue tabs and tuck that long glue tab in. And what this does, it makes that piece strong, because this is the piece that the music box, which I'll talk a bit more about a little bit later on, will sit on top of. So it needs to have a little bit of extra strength and not a hollow shape to sit on top of. And that will get glued on top like so. So I might go ahead now and glue these pieces together. So I'm going to put glue on the middle piece first and attach it to that bottom level. And just taking my time here, making sure that the glue is getting a good hold and that these pieces are central. I am just eyeballing it though. So I'm just making sure that that's in place nicely, and then I'm going to glue that smaller one on top. Just being a little bit generous with my glue. Get a fair amount on there. And put it in the middle. And again, I'm just eyeballing this. You could measure it if you wanted to, but I'm just going to wing it. And I'm just holding this in place until the glue dries. So you can see now that our Juke Box is going to sit on a 3-leveled platform, ranging in size from a larger platform up to a smaller one. And that smaller platform actually holds the Juke Box top on, which is that arch shape, which I'm going to bring in now and show you. Fits over that smaller top level perfectly. So now it's time to move on to some more pieces for this Juke Box, which I'm going to show them to you now. So there's our Juke Box at the stage that we've got it at now. We've got another arch shape there at the top right, the front of the Juke Box, the sentiment wheel, with the sentiment printed going around in a circle. That gets attached to this other circle piece with the hole in the centre. We've got the speaker. We've got this moulding piece that we made earlier, that arch shape. We've got these two moulding pieces as well. And I have some decorator pieces here for the buttons on the radio. These 3 flat back pearls And this I made out of a brad that I had in my stash, and I attached this pretty rose to it. I've got the decorator panels here for the Juke Box. That long rectangle shape is not part of the cutting die or the cutting file. I made it myself. It wasn't terribly hard to make. And the paper that I'm using here is from Kaiser Crafts Everlasting Collection. And I've got double-sided tape on the back of that. Again, I did make this piece myself. It's just a long rectangle with a hole. Wasn't terribly hard to make. Blushing, that's what this paper's called, that particular sheet. I was trying to remember. So we're just going to line that hole up with the hole of the side of the Juke Box. And you can see I've only just partially taken the backings off the adhesive because I don't want it to stick to things unnecessarily as I'm trying to put it into place. You could use glue, but I actually find that putting this sort of a large panel in place is better using double-sided tape. And both sides of this blushing sheet are nice. We've got this pink on one side and then the floral on the other. And I think it's actually the last sheet that I have in my stash. So that piece has gone on nicely. And I'm happy with how that's looking. There are some smaller decorator panels that go on the base piece here. I'll show you those. And they just go on the side pieces. Next up, we're going to work with the sentiment wheel, and I've got my printout here, and I'm going to stick it to the cardstock wheel. In the digital cutting file, Nicole has included a printout for you, and it's the lyrics to the song You Are My Sunshine. But I thought my Juke Box had a bit more of a birthday feel to it, so the lyrics that I put on mine say happy birthday to you, happy birthday to you, happy, happy, happy birthday to you, which I thought was appropriate. So I've got my panel piece here and I'm attaching it to that front piece of the Juke Box. And I made the mistake here of using my fine liner because it took ages to put all this glue on. And I'm just going to stick that into place. Then I'm going to turn it over and I'm just going to position my sentiment. Make sure I'm happy with how that's looking through that space. I'm going to get my brad and put that through and split it at the back. And what I'm going to do here is I'm going to, on each of those prongs, I'm going to put just some sticky tape. It holds it in place and stops it slipping, so that when you turn it, it won't slip. And you can't see it, so it doesn't matter what tape you use. You could use washi tape if you had it, and you can see that that sentiment turns around there perfectly. Like so. So I'm going to stick the speaker on now. And this is where I'm going to use my fine liner glue. I'm going to put it around the outside edge of this piece here at the top of that wheel. Just be careful you don't get glue anywhere near that wheel. You don't want to glue it down. Stick the speaker on. Just press that down into place. Making sure that you don't do it too close to that wheel. You don't want the wheel to get caught on that speaker piece. So I'm just checking to make sure mine's okay. And it's looking good. So I'm just getting the front of my Juke Box here and my panel pieces. I'm just deciding here whether I'm going to go floral in the background or that pink diamond. So you can see me deciding here what I'm going to do. And I'm going to go to the floral. So I put that aside for now and I get that other arch shape. And what I'm going to put here, I've got some very thin foam strips. And I'm going to put them around that inside edge of that decorated front piece of the jukebox. And you can curve the foam tape. It sort of looks like it wants to bunch up, but once you take the release paper off, it lines itself up nicely. So I'm just running that along the edges just to give it some dimension and so that it's not rubbing against that other arch piece that I'm going to put into place. Now you don't have to do it this way when you're putting your jukebox together at all. You can do it whichever way you like. My tutorials are only a guide. They're not set in stone. I'm just making sure that the turning of that wheel is not going to get impeded by that double-sided foam tape. And this is where I realise that this arch shape's a little bit big for what I want, so I'm going to trim it down. And it's now going to be the same size as the panel piece. So I'm going to remove the backings off that double-sided foam tape and adhere it to that other arch piece that I trimmed down. And you don't have to do it this way, as I mentioned earlier. So I'm just making sure everything's working. That's turning nicely and I can read the sentiment. And now I'm going to glue my panels onto the jukebox. So I'm going to do floral on the front and that pink diamond on the back. And this hole is on the right hand side, that is the back. So I've got the back here and I'm going to put the back piece on. And I picked up the right glue this time. The fine liner is great for small pieces, but not so great when you're doing a large amount of gluing. Just making sure it's all looking nice. Now I'm going to position this to see how I'm going to like the moulding and where I'm going to put it. So it goes at the top like so. So I'm going to glue that down. Happy with how that's going to look. And I'm carefully going to put that into position. Then I'm going to put this piece into place. So there's a nice gap around that shows that that front panel has a little bit of dimension. Then I'm going to glue these moulding pieces in place like so. And this jukebox is nearly finished. Unfortunately with this jukebox I don't have a music box to put in it because it hasn't arrived as yet. But I am going to be showing you another jukebox that I made at the end of this tutorial where the music box did arrive. So I'm looking forward to showing you that at the end of the tutorial. These jukeboxes are so much fun to make and you could really decorate them in any style that you like. Obviously this one is very much a girly one, but you could decorate them so they looked realistic with wood paneling and things like that. And it would be a great little gift box idea for a present for a guy if it was decked out in more masculine colours and masculine themed papers. So I'm just getting these moulding pieces stuck on. And the next thing that I'll be putting onto the front of this jukebox will be the other 3 little dials that go below that main dial that turns the sentiment. And for that I'm going to use these 3 flat back pearls that I have in my stash. And I'm going to go ahead and glue those on off camera as well as finish the decorations for this jukebox. So here it is finished with the flowers that I've decorated it with across the top of it and in a couple of places there on the front. And I'm really happy with how this has turned out. Just showing you all the way around. And you can see that you turn the dial there and it's got the sentiment that turns, and it's the lyrics to the song Happy Birthday. That comes off, and you would put the music box on the platform there. But as I said, I don't have one for this one yet. So there we go. Now for the music box, this is the one that I do have that did come. It looks like this, and you can get these on eBay. I got mine locally in Australia, and this particular song is Waltzing Matilda. So that should give you a little bit of a clue as to the next one that I'm going to show you. So I'm taking out the box, and this is what they look like. And you turn the handle and it plays a tune. So I'd like to show you now the other jukebox that I have made, and I have made this one in an Aussie outback theme. And you can see the swagman there sitting by his bushfire with his billy. And this particular theme matches the Waltzing Matilda song. And the sentiment wheel says, Waltzing Matilda, you'll come a waltzing Matilda with me, which is the start of the Waltzing Matilda song. So with this jukebox, you can see here that the top comes off and it reveals the music box inside. And all I did was hot glue it to that top platform, which was easy enough to do. And you just feed it back in through the hole and pop it back into place. And what I also did with this jukebox, I have a remote controlled colour changing LED light that I wanted to put inside, and this is what it looks like, and I bought it on eBay, and that just goes inside like so, and then I can turn it on. So you can just see the light there, and what I'm going to do now is I'm going to turn the lights off in my craft room so you can get a better look. So there we go, and that looks really nice. It looks like either the sun setting out in the outback or the sun rising. So I was really happy with how that turned out. And you can see that I cut an extra opening in the front of the jukebox so that the light would shine through. Whilst I was making both of these jukeboxes, I did use the digital cutting file. I do not have the die sets. And the beauty of using the digital cutting file is you can size up or down your project as you see fit. And that's what I did here. I sized mine up so I have a larger one. One thing else that I also forgot to mention, in the cutting die set and also the cutting file, there will be another option for your back piece on the jukebox that has a door that you can open. So you can put your music box in using the door. And then you would glue this bottom piece shut. And that's an option for you too. And I did not do that on either of my two jukeboxes. So that's my tutorial finished for today. I hope you've enjoyed watching and that you feel inspired to make one of these jukeboxes. Don't forget to check the description box down below for the links that I have previously mentioned. And if you'd like to subscribe to my YouTube channel, I would really love that too. Thanks very much for watching today. Have a great day, and until next time, it's bye for now.